Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tunnel Vision, a show brought to you by USCFootball.com. As a host, that's me, Ryan Abraham, and I'm joined alongside Mr. Connor Morrissette. I haven't done the intro for a while. No India, no Riley tonight. Obviously, Thanksgiving weekend. And Riley normally does our Sunday show. She's traveling a little bit, so it'll just be me and Connor doing the live shows. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. And we'll be taking your live calls. 5124-TUNNEL is the number if you want to call in. Connor will be monitoring that over there. We'd love to get your calls, and we're going to put your comments in the chat up on the screen. We got to talk about USC and UCLA and the Trojans' 9-3 season, what it all means, what's been going on. We got a lot of people in the chat already. Jay over in Facebook land says, hello, guys. Wayne, happy holidays, everyone. Yes, happy holidays. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Mark's always in there. Hello, Ryan, and Triple Double. And, we say hello to everyone and hope you all had a wonderful holiday. And a little bit of a holiday in the Coliseum. Fans were having a good time. The victory bell sticking with the Trojans. USC takes down UCLA 29-10. It was a little ugly in the first half, down 10-7.5, but then take control in the second half. And here we are. And like Jay says, the season went by too fast. It completely went by extremely fast. Hard to say, it was so fast. It was hard to even imagine how fast it went, but it was. It's over now with the regular season, and we'll get into the bowl projections and stuff like that. But how are you doing tonight, Connor?
Doing well. I agree. The season has gone by quickly. This is my third one with you, and I think this was the fastest. You blinked, and it's over. I remember that Missouri State game back in August. That seems
excuse me,
like it was not yesterday, but like a couple weeks ago. And now here we are, December 1st tomorrow. Where did the time go?
Yeah, and it's not like there's not a lot going on, or hasn't been a lot going on in college football. Like in the chat, Mark is like, you like the way Kiffin left for Ole Miss? I love people still spelling Lane Kiffin's name wrong. That's been happening since the early 2010s on our website when he was the head coach there or even an assistant coach there. To see Lane Kiffin on a tarmac again, it's a little disappointing because I think USC and the tarmac, that's, you got, there should be one tarmac in your firings, not, a second leaving or whatever with the tarmac. There was too much tarmac going on today for me in this whole Lane Kiffin debacle. But Stuart Mandel had a great tweet of all the different, I think it was Stuart Mandel, it was Kyle Bonagora. He ranked all the different Lane Kiffin leaving. So the easiest one was when he left FAU to go to Ole Miss. But all the other ones, leaving Tennessee, obviously the tarmac for USC, that was number one. This one, he said whatever this one is, number 3, Al Davis firing him with a overhead projector at some hour meeting that he had with the media or whatever. There's been a lot of weird ways that Lane Kiffin has left jobs. This one was weird, but it was Kyle said it was middle of the road.
Kiffin wanted guardrails to allow him to continue to coach Ole Miss into the playoff and still take the LSU job. So what do you think he was looking for? Like a wink, wink, nod, nod. I won't recruit these players. I won't mess with the staff. I understand why he wanted to continue to coach, but when you take another job, you got to go, especially when it's in the same league. It's not like the North Texas coach going to Oklahoma State. It's different when it's Ole Miss to LSU. So I understand that he wanted it both ways, but I thought Brett McMurphy had a good tweet. I tweeted it earlier, quoting the agent. He was like, Lane Kiffin's the only person I know who can burn down a bridge and still try to walk over it. So that summed it up very nicely. He totally burned this bridge, thought it would be okay. And I get maybe thinking that, but if you take a step back, it doesn't make any sense to allow him to continue to coach. And if you're Ole Miss, you got to protect yourself, and that's what they did, especially making the defensive coordinator now the permanent coach. We'll see what the playoff situation looks like for them. We'll see if the committee drops them. I was talking to Shotgun. I didn't think that a coaching change would warrant a potential drop in the rankings, but Florida State dropped and they had an injured quarterback. Is this similar to that? I don't know. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, it could go from hosting a playoff game to not hosting. Who knows? But it's a mess. It didn't have to be a mess. They would have given the guy a statue there. the greatest season ever, and you just leave. I've known Lane a long time. I think he made this one way more difficult than it is. But hey, we'll see what happens. But like, you literally are never you haven't coached in the college football playoff as a head coach, right? He walked away from the opportunity to do that. If he doesn't get back there pretty quickly at LSU, it's going to be like, you just left. And I mean, Ole Miss is going to be like the darling of the playoff too. People are going to be rooting for them hard. If you don't have an interest in the game, you're like, yeah, go Ole Miss. Like, you like to see. Imagine if they like win the national championship. I mean, how funny would that be?
That'd be a great story. It would be like when Steve Fisher took over at Michigan.
Yeah, that was the comp. Yeah,
they won it all. So crossing sports, but just another wacky day in college football. It's always something, and it was always something against UCLA for USC with Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane not playing in the first quarter. If you blink, you're going to miss something.
That was a weird one. So it was a 4:30 game, and Connor and I got to the press box, a few hours early, like we always do. I was going to head over to the House of Victory tailgate. Then, then I came back, and you and RJ were both talking, and there was like getting word that there was going to be no Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane for at least the first series. Who knows how long? And that was like, okay. And no one really had it. So props to you. We had it on the Peristyle. By the way, our sale is going on right now, 75% off annual membership. Don't miss it. It ends tomorrow. So if you're on Monday, so don't miss it. This is the best sale we'll do all year. It was our Black Friday sale. Jump in there if you get an opportunity. If you're a filthy casual, I like to say, you're not a subscriber to the website, this is the time you want to do it. It's completely cheap. Just do it. You will not regret it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, we had it on the P, a couple hours before the game, and then we weren't sure. And when you see no Makai Lemon out there after, to return the opening kickoff, you're like, okay. And Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane didn't play for the first quarter. USC ended up scoring on that first drive, but then not for the rest of the half. I don't know if you want to give an update on what you've heard or what you thought about all that, but that was pretty crazy.
I'll just keep it to a violation of team rules, which is what Lincoln Riley said after the game. And what I said on Instant Analysis, if you haven't seen that, I'll just echo that. Just disappointing for two offensive leaders on USC to put the team and the coaches in a position to make an example out of them where they aren't able to play in the first half. And then with Lemon, I mean, he's fighting for the Bolitnikoff Award. Him not playing in the first quarter certainly hurt his chances at that. He did have the one catch, which went for a 32-yard touchdown. So if you're going to have one catch, you want it to be a long touchdown, and that's what happened. So that boosted his resume a little bit, but you wonder if he had been out there the whole time, if he maybe could have gotten another touchdown or whatever. But it was just disappointing from my perspective that had to happen, where they messed up so bad that they needed to be made an example out of. And this is a guy fighting for a big award. Like, this would give him some juice, and this would give USC some juice, and the coaches still felt like they needed to sit both of those guys for the first quarter. So, disappointing is where I go, but it was great to see USC respond in the second half with those guys back out there. Defensively, they responded as well. Getting to 9-3 was huge, and the second half went about the way I expected. First half certainly didn't, but I was getting messages at halftime like, oh, you jinxed it, you always jinx it. But UCLA is so bad that
yes.
Remember, USC is a second half team too. People seem to forget that. Our website, it's crazy in the first half of these games. Everyone gets all mad, and then USC usually wins them. So just remember that defensively, they get a lot better in the second half most of the time, and that's what happened last night. So that was good to see.
Yeah, speaking of first half, second half, and the P going crazy, which they do, Mark had a good message in the chat on YouTube. The P, which is the Peristyle, is the premium message board over at uscfootball.com. It's the biggest message board out there for USC fans, and it's crazy at times, but we love it, obviously. Riley's soft. He has no discipline. And then right after Lemon and Lane get benched, what's wrong with Riley? Yeah, so like
that's exactly right. You just get so many opinions, and then the worst opinion
how could you bench them? Like, okay, yeah,
not even about Riley. Oh, this was just senior day, and then USC trots out Tanuk Hines and Zacharias Williams and all these non-seniors to play. Well, they're just sitting to give the seniors a chance. It's like, can you get your heads out of your rear ends, please, and understand what's going on? So, yeah. It is funny. I think we've seen, Ryan, USC's had some success this year. Not the results you wanted against Notre Dame and Oregon, of course, but so many people are just out on Lincoln Riley full stop, and no matter what happens, they're not going to change. And so to me, I feel like there are some people who rather would have had a 6-6 season and he's gone than 9-3 and showing some proof of concept, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially in this crazy college football landscape right now where USC and Michigan State are different. But like, I thought Jonathan Smith was going to be great at Michigan State, and then he stinks. You just never really know what's going to happen. And if you have a coach with the resume that Riley does, and I admit that it didn't go great in the middle here so far, but going from 6-6 to 9-3, getting the offense back on track, getting good quarterback play, getting a defense that has been improved from last season. When I think you look at points per game, they're better, and they've played a lot better in the second half of some of these wins down the stretch. I don't know why you got to be so stuck in with your opinion that you can't at least see, like, hey, maybe this guy is actually building something, because to me it looks like he is.
Yeah. Wanted to shout out to Jeff. He had his 1-year Peristyle anniversary. He just renewed this morning. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I'm glad you could take advantage of that. And then people in the chat are asking, and James on Facebook, does anyone know what Lemon Jack did? We've heard some things, nothing we can report on yet, but, disciplinary stuff. And we might put some war room stuff in there. I don't know. We'll see. We got heard a few things, but I don't know if you want to add anything there.
No, I'm not ready to add anything on that yet. So just something that made him miss the first quarter, made him get made an example out of, which is never good.
Yeah. No, that was not. It's not the way you want to come to the Coliseum and go, the 2 star players aren't going to be there. And I think, when USC came out and ran the ball well on that opening drive, and, King Miller, shout out to him. He had over 100 yards in this game, but he ran it well, and USC scores on that opening drive.
And then UCLA realizes, hey, their 2 studs aren't in. Let's stop the run.
Yes. And I think USC kind of got away from it a little bit. But so they missed the first 2 series, and USC didn't score. Did they have was it the block field goal in the second series?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so they drove, but then gets the field goal blocked. So it's, red zone sort of issues when with no Lane and Lemon. And then after that, when those 2 guys came back, I felt like they started just having to throw it like, okay, we got to like catch up or something. It felt like, all right, we didn't have them. Now we have to like catch up. And it just seemed like it wasn't working. USC was out of sync offensively. They didn't score in the second quarter, even though you got your 2 studs back. And then after halftime, it seemed like the offense flowed a little bit better. But when we were talking in the press box, I felt like USC would have scored a touchdown on that second drive if they had Lane and Lemon in. And I think it actually hurt them more than that. Like, I think it cost them points in the second quarter as well, because it wasn't just that they were out for the first quarter. It was when they came back, it didn't flow right. So I think that suspension probably cost them like 14 points is what I'm guessing. I don't know what you think, or maybe 10, but it cost them.
Definitely 7. I agree. I think they would have scored again after that first drive. So you're saying you're going to give me a redo on the spread pick because I had USC covering and they didn't? But
no, that's the way this works.
I'm with you. I think it threw them out of sync, and it was a whole host of things in that first half. Combine those 2 guys missing the first quarter with the week before losing to Oregon to take away a potential college football playoff berth. People have social media. They're hearing Lincoln Riley get linked to other jobs. It's a very distracting time in college football. And the motivation I heard at the beginning of the week wasn't great with the group. Credit to the staff for really ripping into the team at halftime and getting some more buy-in and having them play better in the second half. But you put all that together, and then you get losing at home to a 3-8 team at the time, 10-7. And so that's obviously not good, but I did like the response. And then shutting UCLA out 22-0 was great. One of the plays of the game, Jayden Maiava on UCLA's first drive of the third quarter, getting the sack that knocked UCLA out of field goal range and made them punt. That really set the tone for the second half because UCLA was moving the ball before that. So I thought that was one of the big plays in this one. And yeah, just happy to see a second half response, and we've seen that a lot this year, which is a good sign. Now it's all about starting a little bit better. We'll see what they do in the bowl game and moving forward. But 9-3, if you told me before the year they'd be 9-3, that would have been better than I expected. We both had 8-4, so
Yeah.
it's not the USC standard. I get it. Quick note on the USC standard, though. I've looked and I averaged out all the wins from the last 20 years. And then including COVID, they went 5-1 during the COVID year, so I gave them 10-2 just to make it like a 12-game season. And USC's averaged 8.9 wins per season going back the last 20 years. So you talk about the USC standard, they're right at it.
Yeah, right there. At least for the last 20 years. Yeah, a lot of the chat's really active, so I'm glad you guys are in there.
And they got a chance to improve on that next year. Next year is massive, like we've talked about on every show we've done and all this. Like, you can be disappointed with Lincoln Riley, but I think you can still acknowledge the progress that he's made. It's clear.
Excuse me. I still get this lingering cough. It's going on. Yeah, no, I think, and I was looking at the numbers we got to look at. We did that. Asian Wolf had that.
Oh God, I bet I did terrible in that too.
You didn't do great. You got 3 out of 5, right?
Oh, okay. A nice D-.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
That was good. Yeah, we'll go over that stuff later. But looking at some of the numbers that sort of go over, like where was USC ranked in total defense? Not the greatest stat in the world. Last year, 77. This year, 49. So that's definitely an improvement. Total offense went from 24 to 10. Pretty good.
I think they played better defenses this year too, and worse offenses. So the offense numbers are even more impressive.
Yeah, me. I think you're right there. The yards per play on defense, I think that's a better. And USC's not as good. They were 87th last year. They're 74th this year. So it's an improvement, but not by much. Like, couple of yards.
The bottom line is, when we talked about at the beginning of the year, the expectations for the team, we thought the defense was going to be better. We thought the edge rushers especially would be better. I thought the linebackers would be better, but pretty quickly it was like, okay, that was a miscalculation. And they did get better as the year went on, but there were certainly some messy moments, and then you had some injuries in the secondary, which negatively affected the team. But I made this point on Instant Analysis. When you talk about the studs on USC this year, it's Makai Lemon, it's Jacoby Lane, it's Wayman Jordan, it's Jayden Maiava, and then defensively, it was supposed to be Eric Gentry, supposed to be Kamari Ramsey. You definitely got some stud performances from those guys, but Ramsey was out of position, and Gentry was asked to do some different things compared to last year when he started those first 3 games exceptionally well, and that sort of limited him. The bottom line is, I just don't know if you had any defensive studs on the team this year when I thought that they would. So another thing that I got wrong at the beginning of the year, but as time kind of went on, like I do give Danton Lynn a little bit of slack on that, because Lincoln Riley is working with some phenomenal offensive players, and you look at the defensive side of the ball, there are some guys who will get drafted and some guys who have a chance to have good NFL careers, but there's no, oh my God, this is a can't-miss defensive stud, and that certainly hurt him this year.
Nice. I don't think we're being negative. AJ Johnson on Facebook. This is the most negative USC podcast. How do you figure, AJ? We were talking about
progress,
being going in the right direction, and I don't know what you just beat UCLA.
I think the most newsworthy thing from yesterday are this first quarter suspensions too. So we're leading with that. We do have a couple calls if you want to go to those at some point.
Oh yeah, we can do that in a second. Let's see. The other thing, because you like interrupting stuff.
Yeah,
but I was like. So yards per play, defense wasn't great, 87th and 74th, like this year, 87th last year. Yards per play on offense went up a lot. So USC was 27th last year, 6.32 yards per play, up to number 6 in the country, 7.2. So like almost a full yard per play more on offense. So the offense got a lot better, even like you said, playing, points allowed. 56th last year is 45th this year. It's like 2 points different, 1.5 points different. Not a ton. USC scored about a touchdown more than last year, from 51st in the country to 15th. So, yeah. And the turnovers, USC cut down on the turnovers by half. They had 31 turnovers last year, only 14 this year. And they forced about the same, 18 last year, 17 this year. And I think the big difference on the penalty side last year USC's defense had fewer penalties than the offense. This year, the offense cut down their penalties by a lot, and the defense went up a little bit. A lot of it was on the offensive line. They had 20 offensive line penalties last year, cut down to 13. They had one player had 10. Mason Murphy had 10 penalties himself last year, so they got better on penalties on the offensive side too.
And remember, against Washington, he probably could have had a few more.
Yes,
move it early.
Yeah. So okay. So why don't we? Yeah. So we can talk about the game and stuff too. But we got calls. Why don't we take a call or two?
We can start with our favorite. It's the Sports Chicken here who wants to talk
about the Sports
about
Chicken.
USC,
yes.
UCLA. Hello, Sports Chicken. You're on.
What? This is the Sports Chicken. Hey, CBS, laying off the only brown person at an organization is not really a good look. Speaking of cilantros, have you ever seen a more porcelain one than Gerard Martinez? That dude bursts into flames in the moonlight. Hey, GM, when was the last time you attended a USC game in person? Rodney Pete's measles game? We miss seeing you at the Coliseum, man. I challenge you to show up to one next season. Well, that was not the most palatable game against a terrible UCLA team. What is it going to take to get this defense to dramatically improve? The linebackers are rather lousy and are constantly out of position. Perhaps Rob Ryan isn't the answer? Is it a talent problem? Could Riley please address the special teams issue? The last two games have been a disaster. I do feel with the infusion of talent coming in, we could be a very strong contender in 2027. That's what I said, 2027. Anyway, hope you everybody out there had a great Thanksgiving, and fight on. This was the Sports Chicken.
All right, Sports Chicken, nice. Yeah, we talked about it on last show. Linebackers just not performing up to what we felt, and I don't know if it's a Rob Ryan thing. I don't know what, but they haven't been as good as you would like. And then, special teams have been bad as well. Like that was two more field goals. We both blame Chris Trevino because he brought up that Ryan Thierry could set the USC record, and he's gone on missed his next 3 field goals. So is it next 3 or was it? Yeah. I think, he's missed his last 3.
I think so. So that's not what you're looking for. Yeah, with the special team stuff, I could see them making a coaching change and trying to improve that unit because we talked after Oregon, when you look at some of the biggest defeats and mistakes with USC and our Lincoln Riley, a lot of special teams errors. So that's a lever that they could pull potentially. I still think Desmond Stevens is going to get better, and he's had some games this year where he's looked good, others where it's been a learning experience, but I'm a believer in him having the potential to take a big step forward next season, but I do want to see him get a linebacker from the portal.
Big E for SC. Honey, I'll be there in a couple. I'm on hold to do my Sports Chicken bit on tunnel vision. And then another one. Honey, what are you doing? Calling a Sports Chicken. Be right back. I think I'm pretty impressed that people are assuming Sports Chicken is married because, I'm guessing no. That's a single guy, man. Come on. Jeff says Ryan was shanking all of his kicks pregame.
He shanked a kickoff. I saw a practice kickoff that I saw, so that backs up what I saw briefly. I wasn't watching him that closely, so maybe he's dealing with an injury or something. Not sure.
So Ryan Doherty, and people say that's it's Riley's buddy. Yeah, so Ryan Doherty came to USC from Oklahoma. I think it's I really only got to talk to him for the first time this offseason, and I enjoyed talking with him and stuff. It was cool talking special teams. But the results are the results, and I think that's a move on and hire a outside special team coordinator. I think you need that. So, I think that's kind of where to go there.
Well, again, we talked about it last week. If you want to bring on a full-time special teams assistant, you'd have to shuffle the staff. So I don't know if they'll do that, but maybe if it's just a different lower-level assistant to replace Doherty, that could be helpful. It seems like they just need some new blood in there. And
yes.
Lincoln Riley talks a lot about how the fact that they don't have the full-time guy and they just have the lower-level assistant is because so many of the full-time assistants have special teams experience. Well, maybe it's time to bring in someone who is just special teams all the time and will be a full-time assistant. It's what Nebraska did, and their special teams, I think, got better this year. They ended up laying a huge egg against Iowa the day after Thanksgiving, so I don't know if that's the best example. But Matt Rule really wanted to improve special teams, and he brought in a full-time assistant, so that's something Lincoln Riley could choose to do. And, yeah, there's the comment. There were several special teams players with only 10 men. Shotgun has pointed that out a lot. It's not crisp.
That's one of my favorite things where, like, Shotgun's like, oh, this one only had 9 or whatever. Like, counting to 11 should not be that hard. You guys get paid a lot of money to do that. This is from, DJGQ? I don't know how he said it. Glad to see Riley celebrating with the team after the game and holding up the sword on the ladder. Yeah, I had a photo. I should have put that in there. It was. I felt like he was very excited. It seemed like he was. It's in the post-game press conference. If you watched, we streamed it on our YouTube channel. To get up on the ladder, to the way he talked about building for the future with sort of the rumors that were floating around where his name would come up for different jobs. It seemed like he put a lot of that to bed. I know during the week he said, when you asked him straight out, he's like, I'm going to be here. But his actions, I think, showed like he's going to be at USC. So I don't know if you felt the same way, but it seemed like he was like a part of it. He felt like he was part of the Trojan family there.
Going up on the ladder with a sword, I agree. And he talked about how this year's team, he hopes there will be better teams. He promised that there will be better teams, but he talked about how this year's team is important, but he just kept saying, I promise it's going to get better. So
yeah,
it did, to me, sound like a guy who will be here. When we had heard some rumors, there were some questions, is he actually? But today it seems like that has gone away a little bit, so that's always a good sign. And I want to see what he can do next year, especially if Maiava comes back and they return a bunch of pieces on the offensive line, as well as some key guys defensively. If you can retain Danton Lynn again, which I expect them to unless he gets a head coaching job somewhere, all of a sudden the pieces are in place for a potentially really good year, and I don't think they've had those in place since his first year, and that was a surprise. So it's not going to be a surprise. Like, next year is huge. You have everything ahead of you, and there's a real chance, even though the schedule is hard, to do something special. Took a little bit longer than we would have liked and USC fans would have liked. I admit that 100%, but you have it right in front of you, and let's see what they can do.
Yeah. Jeff said he gave his visor to a kid at the end of the game. That's pretty cool. We also got our first super chat of the night. Cousin Milt.
Wow, Cousin Milt.
Thanks so much, Cousin Milt. He put a comment up earlier that I put up without like reading the whole thing, and he says he's enjoyed the podcast this year. Even Connor was decent at times, but then he sort of trashed some like competitors. I don't want to so I didn't realize that. So sorry, we appreciate that. We just don't want to just speak negatively about other people that do what we do. But thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the comments and stuff. Yeah, the chat's going crazy. We got a whole bunch of people. Oh, wow, we got like 250 people on YouTube online. That's pretty nice. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Smash that like button. Smash the subscribe. We love it. If you're going to subscribe, get in there.
We do have another call if you want it.
Yeah, let's do another call.
This is a number from the 609 area code who wants to talk about the incoming class. Hello, you're on Tunnel Vision.
What's happening, guys? Happy holidays. It's Mitch.
Oh, hey, Mitch.
Triple D. Ryan, thanks for taking my call. First of all, GM. Colleges have GMs. Are they going to make trades in the middle of the season? I'm just joking. What do you think? Our incoming class of the year is number one. I think we're going to have to get at least 2 good wide receivers so they can play right away, because I believe Lane's going to lead 2, follow Lemon. And who would have thought that Lemon would be number 1 in yards, followed by Deuce Rollins, which I wish they had kept. I know I mentioned that before, mentioned it early in the union, and we're playing the Alamo Bowl. Who we're playing? Do you have any idea?
Thank you for the call, Mitch. We can get into that. I don't think we know who they're playing, but it's going to be a Big 12 opponent, right? If it is indeed the
I believe
Alamo Bowl, so maybe BYU, maybe Utah.
I saw maybe it was SI. If you know me, I hate.
You love them.
I hate bowl projections. now now we're like after the regular season, it makes a little more sense because I think there's more things set around. But I saw Houston as a possibility.
I hope it's not Houston.
Yeah, that would be a little bit. That would be weird, but yeah, like BYU. I mean, they're really good, but
Give me
depends.
BYU or Utah. That'd be fun.
Yeah, Utah, USC's played before. You get a little revenge on Utah. You know, like you left the conference and Utah kind of spanked you on the way out. You get an opportunity to like, but I think Utah would be up for this game because like, oh, you're the team, you're the guys that left us. You know, so motivation would be pretty high.
That's the game I'm looking for, and I'd take BYU too. Houston, they just don't really move the needle for me like those other two teams. And then going back to,
but Houston has who's Houston coach right now?
Willie Fritz.
Yes, you remember USC played Willie Fritz in a bowl game.
I don't remember that.
The 2022 Cotton Bowl where USC lost to Tulane.
He was the Tulane coach.
Yes, so
that was before I started. I was doing high school sports. Then.
Yeah. Interesting. So Carlos is in Houston. He's on Facebook. We must have a bunch of Facebook people too. I'm not looking at the feed, but I'm getting your comments. Find out from Houston. See y'all in San Antonio, December 30th. Yes, that's what it looks like. Everything we've heard, I'm trying to like get confirmation, but they might wait till they know USC's opponent. And if BYU's involved, like because they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game, like if they win that, they're going to the playoffs, so USC wouldn't be playing them. But if they lose it, they'd probably drop down. But that's for a team that's like on the brink of the playoff, even in the discussion without winning the Big 12 championship, because they've won 11 games, right? That's a tough opponent. You know, that's going to be a physical opponent. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where USC ends up. But it looks like San Antonio is where you're going to be.
For the Alamo Bowl, December 30th.
Carlos, I don't think he liked your comment. But Houston has the same record as us, so how could you say they don't move the needle? Because it's Houston. It's not, you know.
They got spanked by Texas Tech, 35-11. Lost to a
lot
bad
of people did.
West Virginia team.
That's
I don't
bad.
know.
West Virginia's bad. Yeah.
Out of all the teams in the Big 12, I just don't know a ton about Houston, so I could be wrong. But I like BYU at 11-1. That's a sexy matchup. Utah, all that hate between those two programs would be fun. USC, Houston, I just think, Arizona, you get them in the Holiday Bowl. If that's a change at the last minute, that would be fun. Some old Pac-12 stuff. Arizona State, although I can't watch the Arizona State quarterback, Sims, so maybe not Arizona State. But I'll take any of those other teams.
Yeah. I know without Levitt, it kind of sucks for ASU. But, man, you got to love what we call him Denny Killingham is doing over there. Kenny Dillingham just crushing at ASU, just doing such a great job. So, although they got spanked in the Territorial Cup, yeah, we're getting a lot of questions too. So if you put questions in the chat, I am starring them, and we'll get back to them later. I don't know how many there are, but there have been a bunch. But we'll get to those as well. Is there more calls, or are we good?
Dr. K just hopped on if you want to take another call.
Dr. K. Yeah, hold on. Let's. He emailed today too.
Hello, Dr. K. You are on Tunnel Vision right now. How's it going?
Hi, guys. Doing great. What I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to mention the name of a person that probably most of the listeners won't know, but Vince Lombardi. Okay, he was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. You know, he won 5 NFL championships in 7 years, and also Super Bowls 1 and 2. But it's an interesting quote here. It said, "You might reduce Lombardi's coaching philosophy to a single sentence. In any game, you do the things you do best, and you do them over and over and over," said George Halas, who was the coach of the Chicago Bears for 40 years and won more than 300 games. Lombardi didn't surprise or confound you. He just beat you. So my question is, I think that there's something study on offensive head coaches and defensive head coaches and what percentage won championships. And if you haven't, it'd be interesting to find out. I know you had this discussion once before, but yeah, if you could address that, that would be great. But it's just a matter of growing up, obviously, being a Bears fan and having Lombardi beat you all the time, although the Bears won their share. But also, this year, the Chicago Bears, I believe they now have the #1 record in the NFL because the Rams lost. And basically, they brought in the coach from the Detroit Lions. He's been amazing, and they asked the teammates what was the change, and obviously it was a whole culture change. And it's tough. So your opinions on that, what you think about it, but it'd be really interesting to see the best coaches, whether they're defensive or offensive.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. K.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think there's a good mix, but I agree with, like, do what you do well. And when some people are like, well, Lincoln Riley should give up play calling and all that kind of stuff, like, that's what he does well. And I think when you see USC play USC football, like, under Lincoln Riley, it's like they're going to beat you with an offensive barrage. They're going to put a lot of pressure on you, get a lead, make you make you uncomfortable, make you try to do things that you don't normally do. So I think USC tries to do that. Like, they try to win with quarterbacks in their passing game. Like, that's kind of what USC does well. So there's been a lot of examples of this where it's the opposite. Where how did Ohio State lose to Michigan last year? Like, they tried to act like Michigan. They're like, we're going to beat you at your game instead of doing what they do. You have the best receiver, like, on the planet, and they weren't throwing to him. So I think there's something to be said for that. Like, if you have strengths, you should go with your strengths. And that's, sometimes coaches try to get cute and they don't do that. And they want to show you how smart they are. And I agree with Lombardi. Like, yeah, whatever you do well, keep doing it.
I would need to do more research. I can't speak to coaches with offensive backgrounds versus defensive backgrounds and how they've fared winning national titles. But what I can talk about, guys who call offensive plays pretty much don't win. The last guy was Jimbo Fisher in 2013. The CEO head coaches are the ones who have won pretty consistently here going back to that 2013 Florida State championship. And it's something I've talked about a lot, where the offensive coach, he can be brilliant and he can call a great game, but when there's a key decision on defense or something happens, you need to game plan with your coaches. If your head's buried in the play sheet, you're nowhere to be found. And the CEO guys, the guys who can just sit back and give input on the play calls on offense and defense and make the decisions on when to call timeouts and fourth downs and motivate the team and do all that great stuff, those guys have just had more success. And, of course, there's so much more that goes into it than just that. But the guys who, Steve Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley, the play sheet, they're calling the game. It's just hard to win at the highest level if you're doing that, and we've seen that year after year after year because it's such a major responsibility. And when people say Lincoln Riley is a glorified offensive coordinator, I think that's selling him short, but I get the argument because those guys don't win at the highest level, and that's just not been the case.
Yeah, Ryan Day used to call, and then he gave that up.
And then they won.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say, like, won a national championship. Like, there's only, like, 4 coaches in the country, right, that have done that. It's like, it's very limited pool. But, like, have you made deep runs in the playoffs or things like that? Like, yeah, I mean, I think there's some limitations and stuff there. But you could still win a ton of games by doing it. But, yes, I think there might be a ceiling to. But, yeah, the CEO types where and I think when Nick Saban was doing it, he had his strengths where he, knows the defensive side of the ball really well, but would go through coordinators like crazy. And you lose a good one because Kirby Smart's your DC and he becomes the head coach at Georgia, and you get another one. Like Dan Lanning was one of your guys. Like, he was very good at hiring people that were excellent at their jobs. And so when you lose a good one because they got a better job. So, yeah, he was like the ultimate CEO, I think, but also obviously knew the defensive side really well.
CEO head coach, that's the way to do it, I think. But
yeah,
when you have Lincoln Riley and you go out of your way to give him that contract because of what he did at Oklahoma, when that's the situation you're in, you're not going to have a CEO head coach. You're going to have an offensive coach who calls the plays. So that's just the reality.
Yeah. All right. Do we have other calls or?
Someone just called in and they're in the queue, so maybe we can do some questions for a second.
Yeah, let's do questions. I know we haven't really. I guess we talked about the game some, but I mean,
it was just a game they needed to win against a bad team. I know it's the rivalry, and UCLA was pushing them a little bit at the end, and there was the cheap shot on Tawanu'u that led to some pushing and shoving. But UCLA is such a walking corpse out there that I don't have a ton to say on the game. Like USC just did what they were supposed to do, won by 3 scores. They started slow. I like the response in the second half. 9-3 is a huge success for them. I like looking at X's and O's. I liked how King Miller ran and Jayden Maiava played mistake-free football. But that UCLA team is so bad that I just have a hard time having grandiose takeaways from this game when it sort of went exactly like I thought outside of the slow start for USC.
Yeah, good to see Alex Graham.
There's a good story from this game. Absolutely.
And Kennedy Urlacher, very active.
Urlacher I didn't think was as good, but Alex Graham was great.
Yeah. So good stuff there. Let's do some questions. Well, we do got a lot. I'll go through them in the order you guys sent them in. Chris, is there a full-time special teams coach? What can be done to improve the play there? We kind of talked about that a little bit.
So everyone is full-time now. You can have unlimited coaches, but I guess not everyone is full-time. What I'm trying to say is they got rid of the number of coaches who could be on the field. Like now It's unlimited, but you still have those 9 coaches who are the full-time assistants, Zach Hansen, Chad Savage, Dennis Simmons, those guys. And so Ryan Daugherty at USC is on the rung below that. And so he doesn't get paid as much. He isn't the same caliber of a coach as those full-time assistants. And so USC, if they wanted to make a move, they could tinker their staff, bring in a guy with a special teams background. Maybe he does special teams in another position, but they could shell out more money, try to get more bang for their buck, just get better play. Maybe not more bang for their buck. I'm really tired. Sorry. Didn't sleep a lot last night.
I get you.
They could be doing more is what I'm trying to say. They have a guy who is a lower level assistant, and if they wanted to really go and make a splash and bring in a full-time assistant, they could do that, and hopefully that would lead to better play.
Yeah. This one's come up a lot. Who do you guys think will sit out the bowl game? A whole bunch of people were asking this question.
Kamari Ramsey, I think, would sit out the bowl game. I don't think Bishop Fitzgerald would get healthy in time, so him. It sounds like Eric Gentry really wants to play, so that's good. It's not official, but I think Jayden Maiava is going to come back, so he would play. Would Anthony Lucas sit out maybe if he is going to be an NFL draft guy? Maybe. Keyshawn Silver, would he sit out? Is he going to be a late-round pick?
The thing about not having any standouts on defense is, like, is anyone going to really sit out?
True.
That's the...
Lemon will sit out for sure. If Lane is gone, I would imagine he would sit out too. Just trying to think of the guys who have the chance to get drafted. That, off the top of my head, are those are the main ones.
Okay.
No one on the offensive line, I think, would sit out. I think Wayman Jordan, if he is healthy, would play, but if he sat out, it would be injury, not NFL. I think he'll be back. So there's that. Receivers, I mentioned the 2 guys. Tight ends, Lake McCree seems like a guy who would play. He's an NFL draft guy, so maybe that's something to watch. Defensively, Keyshawn Silver, Anthony Lucas, those would be guys to watch. At linebacker, Gentry would be someone to watch. In the secondary, Ramsey is probably not going to play. Like I said, Bishop Fitzgerald. Corners, maybe DeCarlos Nicholson, but he seems like a guy who would play too.
I would think it would play, yeah. I think a lot of dudes will. Jasper, question. What will it take for Jakeem Stewart to be a full-time defensive line player? It seems like every time he's in the game is when USC makes all of the negative plays behind the line of scrimmage.
I think he will be next year, and a reason why he isn't playing so much is because he has something wrong with either his foot or his ankle, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had an off-season procedure done to fix that. There's a reason he only practices 1 out of the 2 practices that the media goes to every week. It's because he's dealing with an injury. It's also why he only plays like 12 to 18 defensive snaps in most of these games. It seems like he's on a pitch count, but I notice what the commenter notices too. Whenever he's in there, for the most part, good things seem to happen. So.
He got it offsides when he first came in last night, but outside of that, yeah, he makes plays. We were like, offside, Jakeem Stewart. Like, oh yeah, we didn't see him. He comes in the game and goes offsides. Dennis, what will it take to attract some real impactful defensive talent through the portal?
Money.
Yeah.
money, and if you can keep this defensive staff around, I do think there's some allure there with Lynn and some of those other guys. I like Sean Nua, but man, how many years are we going to get disappointing edge rush play? That would be another thing I'd look at.
Yeah. We'll see. I think you're right, though. Just you don't need quantity. You need quality. Just bring some dudes that can have impacts. Like, Connor went over Oregon's transfer class versus USC's, and it was just like, wow, all these guys are making big impacts for Oregon, and there's not that many of them, but they were all making big impacts. Mark, why should Longstreet stay versus chase the money from another program?
The coach is pretty good with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Would be the reason that I would stay if I were him. But I understand it. When you want to follow that classic quarterback timeline, it's sit the first year, play the second year. And if Maiava comes back and that would prevent Longstreet from doing it, I would totally understand if he looked elsewhere. That's a $1 million question right now. It's the question of the offseason. There are two. Will Maiava come back? And if he does, what does that mean for Hassan Longstreet? Those are the two big ones.
Yep. We'll do the call. I guess we'll do the call after this. From Brian, legitimate question, as opposed to an illegitimate question. When Pepe comes in, does the He-Man right tackle and push Taunu inside to right guard? Elijah and Tobias manning the left side. This OL looks pretty damn formidable if it can figure out center.
It's going to be interesting because he's young. Kenai Pepe, of course, but I think on 24/7 Sports, he's the top-ranked tackle prospect in the country, 5-star kid. So even though that's a really tough position to come in and play right away, he has the traits to potentially be able to do that. I think the spring is going to be huge for him because that's when you see, like, okay, could this guy actually help us or is he a project? And when we saw USC's true freshman tackles this year come in, they were baptized by fire a little bit in the spring, and they weren't in the team's plans, clearly, Aaron Dunn and Alex Payne. So if Pepe comes in and shows that he can play right away, that's sort of the first step, and then you can figure all that out. But he, of course, looks like he'll be a tackle, and if Elijah Page comes back, I don't think anyone's moving him away from left tackle, so then that would mean right tackle for him, and Tawanu'u has the guard experience. So I agree. Even if Pepe doesn't hit in that first year, the offensive line, the fact that they return so many guys is big, and if they can beef up some of those guys a little bit more, like a Tawanu'u, then I think the future is bright there, even though it's been a little bit of an up-and-down season for that group.
All right. You want to do a call?
Yes, we have a caller from the 562 who wants to talk about special teams, offense, and defense for next year. So the full smorgasbord.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Alex from Brea. So I was actually calling you guys took one of the questions about special teams, just kind of been pretty bad since, the last few weeks of the year. And I do hope that we get a special teams coach to come in and help that out. But I want to talk about the defense in particular. I know you guys answered the question already, kind of talking about we need to make our offense. I'm not going to worry about our offense next year because I really do think it's going to be awesome with Tennessee Hines and Corey Sims and these younger guys coming back, Waymo coming back. Our offensive line is going to be awesome, and especially if Maiava comes back. But our defensive tackles, we need to go out there and get some defensive tackles and just that are going to make a difference because if we go with the same defense against that, or the schedule we got coming next year, it's going to be rough. It's going to be pretty rough. And I'll listen to your answer.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
If they could get a couple and maybe a third, like, stud guy to really push him over the top, that's where I would be focusing on my resources in the portal. I totally agree with the caller. And Chris and I broke it down a little bit on instant analysis. When you just do the top of your head depth chart for next season, I like Jade Abasiri. I really like Jakeem Stewart. I really like Floyd Bucard. They have some good guys in the middle. Devin Tompkins, if he comes back, which I think he will. But can you add a real plus player in the middle to go along with that group, make that group even better? That would be huge. Edge rusher, would love for them to get a David Bailey type who went to Texas Tech this year and has played his way to being a potential first-round pick. So if you can get two guys on the defensive line, one at each spot, of course, that would be huge. I'd love a linebacker. And Chris and I had some different feelings on the secondary where there is a lot of unproven young talent coming back, but I think they've recruited that spot well enough where I'm not too worried about the secondary, especially if Chasen Johnson makes a full recovery and can totally lock down one of those corner spots. You have some young talent coming in. I would really focus on the front end of that defense more than the back end in the portal. And, hey, if you can get a great defensive back, then you got to do it. But I would really target a linebacker and some defensive linemen just because look at the teams who are at the top of the sport right now. We did the Oregon example on Wednesday. We did who was the other team we were talking about? Or Texas Tech, of course. They just have more money than God, and Oregon has a ton of money too. So it's going to be hard to compete at some of those spots. But you just need a couple of really important impact guys to put you over the top, and that's what those programs have done. Texas Tech did it a little bit crazy, but Oregon did a nice job of adding. I think they added like 9 guys, and 7 or 8 have been really, really good for them. I don't know if USC needs to go to that length, but if they can add 3, 4, maybe even 5 impact, high-end portal guys, I don't think that disrupts your culture. I think that means you have guys who you'll just have to compete with these better players, like competition. You want to have the best possible roster you can. So I criticize what we were told in the offseason where it was like, oh, we don't want to mess up the chemistry. We don't want to rock the boat. Like, rock it a little bit.
Rock it.
Get to the playoff. Next year is the make or break year for Lincoln Riley in all of our opinions. It's a huge season. Do what you have to do to put the best possible team out there, where I didn't think they did that in the portal this year.
All right. We got a question from Jasper. Does USC need to get a safety in the transfer portal, or will Pearson or Urlacher be our guys next year? I'm comfy with that duo. I don't feel we need a transfer portal safety.
That was the spot Chris was saying, take a look. So you have those 2 guys, and then D. Reddick didn't play a whole lot this year, but the staff is very high on him. Alex Graham could potentially move over to a safety role in the future. It depends how much they like Urlacher, because he was buried at the beginning of the year. Pierce got in a lot, and it took Urlacher like a long time to come in when Ramsey and Bishop Fitzgerald went down. So that kind of makes me think the staff didn't totally like him early, and he came out and has had some nice moments. So I don't think you need one, because I like that mix of those 2 guys coming back and then some young talent in the middle as well. But maybe that is a spot to like, if you can upgrade the roster, I think you have to do it. I would prioritize other spots, but they don't really have any natural safety in 2026 that could come in and really push either. So
they didn't really recruit that position. Yeah.
So that's something else to talk about. And then I think I'm like Marquise Gallegos. Does he factor in? There are some guys who just haven't played a whole lot who could also be in the mix as well.
Yeah, people brought him up in the chat while you were chatting. Andrew, Connor, is everyone for signing day locked in, or are there still some potential losses from what you know? And signing day will be Wednesday, by the way, and we might have a very special live show Wednesday night. So we'll do our regular podcast on Wednesday with Connor in India, but we might have special people in signing day night. We'll see. So stay tuned for that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just looking at the safeties on the roster. No one else really outside of who we talked about makes a lot of sense to play next year. It's been really quiet on that front, and in a good way, where I haven't heard much about other guys taking visits or anything like that. Sean Scott was at the Coliseum on Saturday, which was great. He was a guy who I know other schools on the West Coast have continued to try to get on campus and continue to pursue. So the fact that he was there for that UCLA game is huge. So I'll try to keep you updated if I hear anything, but it seems to me pretty much everyone is locked in. Maybe a guy here or there could flip at the last minute, but I don't anticipate that right now. The fact that so many of those guys were in the Coliseum, if you go read Chris's Ghost Notes, you'll see all the names from everyone in that class who was there. They had most of the guys on campus, or not just on campus, at the game in the Coliseum on Saturday. So I think they're in a good spot with that.
All right. D-Mac. We can talk about this. If Maiava coming back meant losing Longstreet to the portal, would you take that or encourage Maiava to go pro?
I think the known is much better than the unknown, and I would take Maiava coming back.
100%. And I think we had to get in the chat or on the Peristyle and talk about this a little bit because there's some people that just don't realize like how good he's been. And sometimes you just want things aren't going exactly the way you want. And you want to pull a lever, and the easiest lever, like fire the coach, change the quarterback. And Maiava's showed that he can progress. The change from last year to this year, just 7 turnovers in 4 games, and he's cut down on that so much this year and just done such a nice job. I haven't checked since, but going into the UCLA game, he was number 1 in the country in total QBR. His efficiency as a quarterback and all that. Yards per attempt, he's top 8 or something. Like he's just been really good. He's been elite, and so yes, I would want him to come back and not some unproven 5-star freshman just because he's a 5-star.
And I think Maiava's looked really good too, not just the stats, like just the eye test. He's really passed.
He doesn't get sacked much, and someone in the chat or they were talking about, well, you're throwing to Lemon and Lane. Well, last year you had Lemon and Lane plus Deuce Robinson and Zachariah Branch, and you had a bunch of other guys too. And as someone that's had Brock Bowers on his fantasy, 2 different fantasy leagues. Now he had 2 touchdowns today, but when the offense kind of stinks and the quarterback can't get him the ball, like it doesn't matter how good your receivers are. So Maiava's putting it in places that those guys can make catches. So I would, again, I would agree with Connor. You go with the known and not the unknown. So if he wants to come back, you welcome him back with open arms. He's been great, and you expect him to get better next year. Andrew, total hypothetical, but if he has continued success, do you think Carson Palmer could have a role with the Trojans? I don't know where. I'm just asking.
If he wanted one.
Yeah, but it would be more of like an analyst thing.
Yeah.
Like people would go, could he just come in and be the head coach? You're like, okay, so he had a good season coaching. Where's he?
Santa Margarita.
Santa Margarita.
Southern Section Division I champs.
Yeah. Which is great, but he could come in as like an analyst or something and then sort of work his way up. Not like people usually are like, oh, it's Carson Palmer, bring him in. What did I say for all those years? Like, don't hire people just because they went to USC. Like, it's okay that they did, but you can't if no one else would hire them. So no one's going to make them, Carson Palmer, your quarterback coach or whatever at that FBS level. I think you got to kind of work your way up. But I think you'd give him some seasoning down there. He might like coaching high school. I don't know. But if you could bring him in. And Stanford ended up doing that. Trevita Pritchard, they hire him as the head coach. Like, he's the quarterback coach for the Washington Commanders. Like, would any of there's a lot of open jobs. Was anyone looking at Trevita Pritchard to be their head coach? Like, no. Only because he was at Stanford before. Like, that's literally the only reason you're hiring him. So
I bet Carson Palmer could get a quarterback coach job in the FBS. You don't think so?
Somewhere maybe. I mean, the fact that he was so successful.
But if it's a role at USC next year, it would have to be analyst. I'm with you on that.
It's like something like that.
When you're ready, we do have another caller.
Oh, let's do one more, and then we'll do the caller.
Cool.
This one's from, we got Jasper again. With Reed graduating, if O'Connor is hurt next year, who's the next center in line?
Kalen Miller or Willie Washer or another transfer or one of the freshmen.
Yeah.
I think Kalen Miller, if you groom him to be the center, and he is good at it and has a whole offseason where he's the guy, I could see him being a really good center. So I am rooting for him as a guy who just loves these walk-on stories. But he's also been pretty good at guard, all things considered, thrown into the fire. He was pushing Alani Noah in camp. It would be great if he was the starting center blocking for his brother.
I think this is a Phil Hartman throwback. Allen St. Louis. Look, I'm just a caveman tax lawyer, but in my humble opinion, you don't replace the QB with number 1 QBR. Being number 1 at QBR seems good for QBs.
That sounds like something you would say.
Yes, but that was Phil Hartman's
yes.
Bit there. Then let's take a live call.
All right, we got Thomas in Malibu, one of our favorites. Hello,
Boo.
Thomas. You are on Tunnel Vision. How are you?
What a terrible place to live, Malibu.
Gentlemen, good evening. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Lots of Trojan fans out here in Malibu. Hey, just a couple of things for you. First of all, It is so funny when I go back. And Ryan, all due respect to you, you're in a great organization, but you have about 20 knuckleheads, maybe 50 knuckleheads on that P, who just can't help themselves during a ball game. I mean, when I go on the P after the game, I literally won't click on half of them because they're so idiotic. Bottom line is, we said at the beginning of the year with the recruiting class we had, we said, wow, if Lincoln can get us 9 wins this year, we'll show improvement and we'll be able to hold on to our recruiting class. There's nothing I just told you that's not true. That's what everyone was talking about. If you get to 10, fantastic. But if you go 9-3, hold the recruiting class, it's a success. So he did that. Let's give the guy a break. And then just talk about getting rid of the quarterback to let some guy that we've never even seen play. I mean, some of these conversations, honest to God, if people would step away from them, they would say these are some of the most idiotic arguments that I ever heard. He is showing improvement, okay? He's going to have the number 1 recruiting class from all indications. He's going to maintain most, if not all, of that class. Hey, we don't have that much more to improve. Let's take another step next year. And I'm sick and tired of hearing that. Please don't let me hang up and say it's not our standard around here, okay? You know what? Stop the nonsense. College football has changed. There's a lot of great teams out there. There's a lot of really, really good teams out there. And you know what? The days of USC going every single year, walking through and going to the national championship games, those days are over. Listen, Ohio State's got a little bit of run going right now. Michigan had their run. Now they're back to 9 wins. Let's worry about just getting better. And how about this as I hang up the phone and wish you guys a great Sunday? Why don't we do something crazy? And don't give me this nonsense about it's not the USC Trojan standard. How about if we enjoy ourselves? We're 9-3 with a possibility of going 10-3 in a bowl game. Let's take a deep breath and enjoy the ride, and then let's look forward to next year. Guys, thank you so much for the show and Fight On.
All right. We'll give him some applause. No, he's right. Yes, there are some crazy conversations on the peristyle, for sure. USC would be 0-12 if you read the first half of every game this year. There's no way USC could win. Everyone should be fired. They're the worst. And then somehow they won 9 of those games. But yeah, every once in a while you're like, enjoy yourself. Like, hey, there's some good wins. Like,
Was this year ever about making the playoff? I agree with Thomas.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
You do. That's okay. Enjoy yourself. It's okay to have fun beating, even though UCLA stunk, they're terrible. Zombie program. They came out fighting in the first half. You take them down. Enjoy it. Like, look at these people having a good time, enjoy the game. Like, they're having a fun time. You win. Are you worried about, well, they didn't do it this way, or, oh, how could he suspend those guys? Or, just have some fun. Like, this is college football. The season's already over. Where the hell did that go? What happened? So I agree with Thomas.
I do too, and I don't think that makes you soft or that makes you someone who doesn't expect more. Like, I expect more next season, but what did we all expect this year? And Thomas nailed it. You expected a year to show progress from the year before and to hang on to the class, and they did that, and they even won an extra game more than I thought. So I am at the same spot as him, same spot as I was after that Oregon loss. Of course, you want to go out and beat Notre Dame and beat Oregon, and those games mean more, and I get all of that. If you can do that moving forward, great. That was never really in the cards for me this year. When the schedule came out, what did every freaking person say? They're not beating Oregon at Oregon. They're not beating Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Oh, yeah, but that's the problem. That's the problem. Well, okay, fine. Then fire Riley, bring in someone else. Would this new coach in his first year, would he have won those games? Oh, well, look at what Kurt Cignetti's done. That is the exception. He's not walking through that door. There's no one they could have hired that would have had USC in the first year in a position to win both of those games. And I've been very critical of Lincoln Riley, and he's deserved a lot of it. But this year, I think you got to give him a tip of the cap for just righting the ship and getting things going in the right direction.
And let me just say this, too, because we're in this era now where people are they say something and then they'll go the next 10 years trying to prove that whatever they said, maybe even like randomly, was correct. You have a take, and you can never back off it. We see it on the P. If there's a recruit that they don't like Adoree Jackson comes in and someone's like, he's too small. I don't like his footwork. I don't, he's not going to do anything for USC. And then he just starts crushing it. They spent the next 3 years, anytime he screws up, see, I told you he was, and he's like an All-American and wins the Thorpe Award. But you thought when he first came in that he wasn't going to be that good. So now you spent the next 3 years trying to tell everyone why he really isn't that good. What you're seeing on the field is an illusion. Instead of just going, yeah, I was wrong about that. He's awesome. Why can't you just do that? You can enjoy USC beating UCLA. Someone said Michigan that was a great win. One of the best wins you've seen in a while. Without saying, I'm enjoying myself as a USC football fan. And this doesn't mean I think Riley's great. You could still not like him. You could still think he's bad for the program. And enjoy watching college football. Not hoping that everything falls to shit because you don't like Riley, so if any success happens, then you're wrong or whatever. You don't have to be wrong. Just you can enjoy yourself and be like, he's not my guy. I don't think he's right for the program, but I hope we win. Or whatever you want to say. I would suggest doing that as opposed to basically rooting for doom and gloom because you made some prediction and you want it to come true.
And last year was shitty. They went 6-6. It was bad. The year before that, they couldn't play defense. So he's not magically absolved from those mistakes. But this year, when they do play a little bit of defense and the offense gets better, it's okay to say that.
Yeah. We had a comment. I don't remember sorry, that was the wrong one.
Thomas was spitting facts.
But Gentry had the quote of the night last night about the team compared to when he first got here. Do you remember what he said?
I do, and let me pull up my tweet because I tweeted this out.
Yeah.
Tweet so damn much. All right. He was asked what was the difference from when he got here to now, and he said, the team is tougher, more resilient, there are no egos, everyone listens to one another, and the coaches and people can handle adversity. Because remember, in 2022, they hit a little adversity at Oregon State, and they won that game. I give them credit for that. But at the end of the year, they hit a lot of adversity, and it just went to shit.
It did.
And then they could play defense that following year. Last season, they crumbled in the face of adversity. 9-3 isn't perfect, but they definitely improved in all those areas. And just a lot of the talk last night was how Lincoln Riley felt like this senior class paved the way for a brighter future. Now, the future has to go and be brighter, but that's what they're selling, and Gentry's a big believer of that, and it seems like Lake McCree was as well. And the team has gotten better from the last 2 years, so they have paved something, but it all just sets up for next year being so huge.
Yeah. Cousin Milt, how do you square the narrative of time to build a program when Indiana did it in 2 years? I mean, he really did it in 1 year with Kirk Cignetti. Well, first of all, here's my first response.
He knows the score. He gets the women. Cignetti kills.
All right. That dude's just a killer. He's insane. And like Connor said, he's the exception. You can't, and I saw someone tweet this out, now everyone that's hiring a coach is trying to compare it to it has to be as good as Cignetti. He took the losingest program of all time that was just 3-9 and went to the playoff. That's an outlier. That's not yes, it can be done, but so can win in the lottery. And I don't think you can do a lot of judging based on what he's doing. He's insanely good. It's a very unique situation. They do have good NIL. They have more silent, there's a lot of money there too. Bringing in a whole bunch of players from your team, from James Madison. But I don't think you can compare yourself to that. That's just insanity how good that's been.
I'm with you. It's really, really unique and very, very impressive, especially last year. They had an easy schedule, and to their credit, they took advantage of it. This year, they're just killing everybody, and I can't wait for that Big Ten title game to see how they match up against the best team in the country.
They already went to Oregon and won. Yeah.
Yeah, Google me.
Google him. He's the exception. Yeah, no, he's crazy, 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 crazy good.
And doing it in this league, too. Doing it in the Big Ten. You look at some of the other SEC coaches and Big Ten coaches who've been hired. Brett Venables is going to get Oklahoma into the playoff finally, but that took 4 years, and he inherited a better situation than Riley did at USC. I know that's the big comparison, those two guys, but like it took him a little bit. And then Billy Napier failed miserably at Florida, and the Auburn coach got fired. And in the Big Ten, Ohio State makes it, and Michigan has made it, and Penn State with James Franklin, and then they fall on their face. It's also just really challenging to get there, which I don't want to have that be an excuse when USC uses so many resources and stuff. But the point is, like, a 9-3 season with bringing so many guys back and having the potential for next year, like, to me, that's pretty good, even though you still got to go out and do it next year.
Yeah. Okay. Matt's not liking what you're selling here. If you call yourself a USC fan and say you are happy with 9-3, you are not a USC fan. Please stop, kids.
Well, their over-under was 7.5. So.
Yeah. Las Vegas thought they were going to win 7.5 games. They won 9. That's pretty good. I don't think, Matt, that anyone's saying that, like, hey, you're 9-3. That's good enough. If you were at Indiana and you were 3-9, they would have loved. Hey, if you hired Kirk Cignetti and he's going to average you 9-3 over the next 10 years, they would probably build him a statue. You're not going to get that at USC. But USC fell off and was 13-11 over the last 2 regular seasons. There's some bright spots, a lot of bad things, and you got to get better. Now, you could argue if Lincoln Riley wasn't being paid $11 million a year and had 7 more years on his deal, he probably would have been fired. Like, completely understand. But he was paid that. He does have that contract. It's not easy for USC to make a move. So what you have to do is do what's absolutely best for your football program. We've seen a lot of programs say, look, this isn't going to work. We got to cut bait now and eat this big buyout. It would have been really tough for USC to do that. I think in the next year or two, if things get bad, they'll have more freedom to do it. But in the meantime, you're going to try to win. And I think how are you going to do that? Well, you shifted from recruiting mostly portal to high school, especially local high school. Now you have the number 1 class. Boom. That's what you want. You needed to, like, not have a crappy season, having a good one, being a missed field goal away from a playoff berth. That's pretty good. But it's not 9-3 is not good enough. Like, this is building to where you should be in the playoffs. So, Matt, I think you can say this isn't what you want for long term, and I don't think it is, but to get to where you want to go, you probably needed a season like this. Should it happen in year 4 under a head coach that gets paid $11 million a year? No, that's not ideally the way you wanted to do it, but that's kind of the way it had to go. So here you are. And there was a ton of dysfunction before he got here, and you got that bump in year 1, and then things dropped off. But I think there's a lot of good things in place. So, yeah.
I would just say I don't know if it's the way it had to go, but it's the way it went. And now they're 9-3. So they had some crap behind them, and it wasn't great. And we called it out at the time, and we were critical. And we've had all these conversations for a long time. At the beginning of the year, the goal was to show an improved team from a year ago, show a proof of concept, show you're building something later than everyone would have liked. But that's what I'm seeing. So I'm just trying to tell you what I see.
Yeah, and I think this is the important part for Mark and everyone else. Big E for USC. Next year is a prove-it year. Backslide means hot seat. 100% agree. Like, you shouldn't be building in year 4. Whatever they did, and they did a good job, I think. Now it's time. You just got to win games. There's no excuses. There's no nothing. I don't care that the schedule's hard. I don't care. Like, you got to make the playoff next year for me. That's what I'm saying. You can give a pass for, like, not making the playoff this year because you're like, okay, 2026, I feel like that's what you were building towards. Let's see. SM Greenfield had a question. Great job on last night's instant analysis, but is there any way you can shade your lens, use a flag, so you're not all washed out? Sorry, I went to USC Film School. Oh, I'd have to notice. I didn't see that. Are you doing it on your phone?
Yeah, it's just the bright lights of the Coliseum in the back, I think.
SM Greenfield, thanks for that. Let me know, how did my did the 3 keys look the same? Because I filmed it in the same. Well, I filmed it a little earlier than you did, so I don't know if the lights were different.
My phone's old too.
Maybe that's
sure. Next year we'll make some big changes.
Yeah. King Miller, ever going to get a scholarship?
I anticipate him getting one this offseason.
Yeah, I would think so.
And his brother.
I would think so too. Yes. Thank you for that one. We have another one. Who will be the backup center next season? That'll be the most important position since O'Connor is quite injury prone.
It might be O'Connor. He could be a backup.
He might be the backup, yeah.
If Kalen is able to beat him out, and then Willie Washer is in the mix, and I'm sure they have other guys training at that spot. Someone from that freshman class will be in the mix as well. But the name I keep going back to is Kalen Miller. I'd pay attention to him at the center spot.
And then Asia Wolf. Oh, we got to do his. I tabulated all your results. We did all that, so we'll have that coming up on the show on Wednesday. But over under 5 players leaving via the portal.
I think in this day and age, at 5 it would be really low. It would be more than that.
If you were to say like 5 players that were impactful, I would go under. But 5 players, yes, I think over. There'll be guys that you don't even know, didn't know were on the team, and they're in the portal. So yeah. Facebook question, FeedLA. Is there any NIL deals that the team needs to focus on who are current players?
Don't get the question.
I'm not quite sure. Sorry, I just started. If you want to send that back in again. So like maybe like current players, they need to like really give them a big NIL deal. I think that's when you hire like Chad Bowden and that staff, retention is really important to them. And so if there's someone that's looking for more money and they have bigger offers, then it becomes like, okay, will USC step up? Or are they like, that's too much money? So they have to make these calls too, like someone that you really want. But like, I think Tennessee wanted Nico Maiava, right? They were already paying him like $2.5 million, and he asked for $4 or whatever. That was the rumor, like because Carson Beck was getting $4 at Miami. You're like, we'd love to keep you, but we're not going to pay you $4 million. So now it's like a business. So you have to make a choice, make a decision. That's what's best. So I think USC will find the right NIL deals for their current players that they want to keep. But if someone's going to go somewhere else and make like more than they think they're worth, they'll probably move on from them, and just because it's not a smart business decision.
Now that I understand the question, if it is what you're talking about, I bet Tanuk Hines is a guy who you might have to extend yourself for a little bit after he has a really good true freshman season, and in the games when opposing defenses were paying a lot of attention to Lemon and Lane, Notre Dame, Oregon, that's when he was at his best. So he's showing that he can be an impact guy and someone who will demand top dollar potentially and better matchups moving forward. If he is a number 1 or a number 2 guy for USC, that would be someone who, if he was getting some other offers, I'd try really hard to keep him around.
Yeah. Jasper talking about didn't Shavita Pritchard beat USC by they were a 41-point favorite in 07? I think it might have been 08. Yeah, he did. Doesn't mean he should be the head coach. Like that was great. He had a great moment, but I would not say he's qualified to be the head coach of Stanford, but they hired him, so they got to do it. We got a couple more, and we'll get out of here. What are your way too early predictions for win totals of 2026?
Well, let me pull it up.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I was looking at it last night. So, okay, Fresno State win at Indiana.
Probably a loss.
You think?
Well, I mean, I thought they'd take a step back this year, and they're like even better.
I think that is more winnable than some of these other ones. Like I look at Penn State, especially if that's a night game. That's a loss.
They stink.
You think they're going to stink?
I mean, they got a new coach.
I just think that's a really hard place to play. But Indiana is now too all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So many unknowns. At Rutgers, you better win that one. At UCLA, you better win that one. Maryland in the Coliseum, you better win that one. Ohio State in the Coliseum. USC was great at home this year.
Yeah. I think they're tougher games. Most of them are at home. So, yeah. I mean,
it's tough for me to say.
Yeah, I would say lost to Ohio State.
They'll win that one.
Yeah.
Oregon at home. Got to win that one.
Yeah.
But
you got to win one of those.
Been a tricky team.
If you're not 1-1 in the Oregon Ohio State home games, like that's a problem.
That is a problem. Washington at home, they will probably be pretty good too.
Yeah.
At Wisconsin, looks like they have some juice with Fickle being retained a little bit. I
whatever.
hope USC can outscore that team, but
Yes.
that's another.
They went like
potentially
5
tricky
straight
game.
games without throwing for 100 yards. So,
Yeah, their quarterback did get hurt. They were supposed to have that Maryland kid. Remember Billy Edwards from
Yeah.
last year? And
they had a game where their punter was their leading passer. So, no.
not ideal. And then Notre Dame inside the Coliseum if that happens. So that's a lot of tough ones. At Indiana, tough. At Penn State, tough to me.
Yeah.
Ohio State, tough. Oregon, tough. Washington, tough. You don't really think Wisconsin is, so we can skip that one. And then Notre Dame, what was that, 5 or 6 games? So, like, what's my record prediction right now? I think 9-3 would be a great year with that schedule, but then they don't make the playoff.
Right.
But I don't know.
I think I would predict 9-3, but I think they need to be 10-2. Like, figure out a way to be 10-2. Just do it. Like, there's no excuses. Like, you got as much resources as anything. You built to this. Yeah. Ohio State replaced 14 NFL draft picks, and they look like they're unbeatable. Yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm fine this year. Like, next year, there's no excuses. Like, you just win.
I do think hard schedule is an okay excuse. That's one of the toughest things to overcome.
Yeah.
So, like, let's play it out. If they go 9-3 next year, does Lincoln Riley get fired? I would have a hard time getting there, but I guess if you're 5 years in and you don't make the playoff after making it all those times in Oklahoma, maybe.
You hired him because he made the playoffs a bunch, you know?
I just think going 9-3 in this day and age is pretty good, and I would take that and against that schedule.
Next year, I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know what would happen, but I think 8-4, you're fired.
8-4, you're fired.
Yeah. 9-3, flip a coin. But I think the goal is you got to be 10-2. You got to make the playoffs next year.
Is there any chance 9-3 with that schedule? You're like
potentially
a sexy Texas
Yeah.
team where it's like, oh, maybe they'll get in.
So like that's like 9-3 because like last second field goals against like Ohio State and bad call against Indiana. Like there's stuff like that. Like that happens, and you beat a bunch of other good teams. So, all right, one more. Here's like fantasy land. I love this stuff. Carson Palmer would have won more games at USC with this roster.
This is a Lincoln Riley hater. This guy
100%.
all over.
Yeah. So
our
some
YouTube
guy
stuff.
who coached like 1 year of high school football because he won the Heisman at USC. He knows, he could be a great college head coach. We have no idea. But you certainly have no idea that he would take this team and win more. Would he have beat Michigan? Would he I think you're letting your bias towards not enjoying the company of Lincoln Riley being the head coach of the team that you like blind you. So no, I don't agree with you, sports fans for life.
Carson Palmer had a pretty dang good year this year at the high school level, so I think he can coach a little bit.
Yeah, no, I certainly think he can coach, and he might be a great college head coach someday. We don't know, but because he coached a good high school year, you're going to say he could do better. No, I'm sorry. Like, there's no. Not saying it's impossible. I'm saying there is no way you could know that, and you put it in all caps. So I'm not going to entertain that any longer.
Before we go, I want to just talk quickly more about 9-3 next year if that happens again. I don't know why that would be such a problem. Like when USC's never made the playoff ever.
Because they never made the playoff ever, so you got to make the playoff.
Okay. Yes,
So go make it.
I hear that, but like, it's
When
not,
are you going to make it? Well, then the next year, and that's next year. It's like you're like the girl that's like hoping that her boyfriend keeps giving her an engagement ring every year. It's like, oh, it's going to be next year. It's going to be next year. It's like, no. My mom had a saying like, shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, no, I do understand that, but do you think back-to-back 9-3 seasons in the Big Ten, like
it's time to shit or get off the pot. I think it's time to make the playoff.
No, it is time to make the playoff, and that is a huge part of it. I just have a hard time wrapping my head around back-to-back 9-3 seasons and a guy getting canned, but
I don't know if he'd be canned. I'm saying from my point of view, like that's not good enough.
like I just think that's a little unrealistic.
Like there's people in the chat that's saying 9-3 isn't good enough here. USC was 6-6 last year. I can see 9-3 being good enough next year, like this year.
Schedule is hard as hell. That's the number one thing that determines if you have a good year or not.
Then you should have made it this year. Like, then then don't lose to a bad Illinois team, which it was not a good Illinois team. They lost 4 games in the Big Ten. Did they lose yesterday? They won yesterday.
No, they won in a crazy snow game.
Yeah. That, you know, it's like, if this was your year to make it, then you should have made it this year and did some things better and made special teams changes or whatever you want. Now it's up to you. Now you got to make the right changes. Like, you made a lot of changes in the offseason. It's time to win. Like, I'm going to agree with the people in the chat. They're like, 9-3 is not good enough. Next year, it's not. I don't care what the schedule's like. You got to make the damn playoff. You know, Vanderbilt might be in the playoffs this year. SMU's made it. Arizona State's made it. TCU's made it. Like, make the damn playoff. Like, there's a lot of teams. You get 4 from your conference last year. You didn't get in. You get 3 this year. Didn't get in. Make it, you know. However you make it. If it's 9-3 somehow, like Texas might make it at 9-3 this year because their schedule's really tough. That means you're going to win some games. Maybe you beat Ohio State and you beat Indiana and then you lose to like Wisconsin or something that's like 6-6. And you get in because you got some good wins. But I don't just because the schedule's hard doesn't mean you should lose all those games. The hard games they lost, the games you thought they'd lose this year, they lost. You got to win 1 or 2 of them next year, no matter how hard the schedule is.
The last thing I'll say, it's just easy when you're at like a Florida, a team that has had some success, and you just stink. Where they went 3-9, or if they beat Florida State to go like 4-8 this year. When the bottom totally falls out, then you gotta make a change. 9-3 and then 9-3, it's not ultimately what you want. And I acknowledge that, and I am all about championships or bust. I know. I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I just have a hard time getting to the point where, okay, it's year 5, you went 9-3, you suck, ha ha ha, you're not the guy, you're terrible, it's never gonna work out. 9-3 is close, and maybe the next year it happens. Like, I don't have a problem with 9-3 and then 9-3.
But you said we get engaged this year, honey. You know, like, yeah. I think it's not just the 9-3, 9-3. It's everything that happened, you know, prior to that.
Yeah. Fine, but then you go 9-3. That's kind of like, okay, like you're doing better than 6-6, and the defense is better. You can stop people now, and you're recruiting at a higher level. It sucks. You want to go to the playoff, you want to win championships, and 9-3 won't get you there. In this league, in this year, in this era,
yeah,
I don't have a huge problem with USC going 9-3 in back-to-back seasons. And then kicking the can down the road another year, I guess. But maybe that makes me soft and a loser. Maybe the athletic department thinks like that. I'm not sure, because to get rid of them, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Also, exactly. Is it worth it? It would be so easy if they went 6-6 again. It's like, okay,
but
clearly.
I think I wouldn't go into the season thinking like, oh, if you lose to like the 3 teams that were favored to beat you. Mm-hmm. Just like last year, like
9-3 can look different. If they beat Ohio State or an Oregon, I'm with you. If you lose the 3 most important games again and go 9-3, I'll hear you, because then there's pretty clear evidence that you cannot get
you're
over
not
the
getting
against
over
the best teams. I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah. You want to do like what Texas has done, and they were like, oh, they beat Alabama. Who did they beat? They beat Oklahoma. They
Vanderbilt.
But they lost to they lost to like Florida, who's bad. They're 4-8 or something.
That's the one that's killing them, because the other one was Ohio State and then some good team.
Yeah, then they lost somebody good like Georgia or something. But so I wouldn't go into the season being like that's going to be okay. It's like, nope, that's not okay. Now maybe you do that and there's circumstances you're like, all right, we're going to let you come back, but there's restrictions or something. I don't know, whatever. Because then this is year 4. You'd be 5 years in. You'd be halfway through the contract. And it wouldn't be as prohibitive a buyout. It's still horrible, but I think you would have a few more levers to pull as the athletic department. But I wouldn't even think about that as an option. Like, hey, I know it's tough. Win. Like, that's the only option. Win some of these games.
If Kalen DeBoer was available and USC went 9-3, I would be A-okay with bringing him in and replacing Riley. It's all about the next guy, too. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah. Here's an interesting comment. I'm sorry, the wrong one pulled up there.
Hey, we already did that one.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't pick it up. People just don't like him personally enough for him to be super mediocre.
Fine. Is 9-3 super mediocre? I don't think so.
But that's true. And I think but there were steps this last week or so of maybe being more likable, like giving his visor to a fan and
he gave his visor to a fan. Let's keep him.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, maybe if he's more like, people feel like he's more like not an ivory tower guy, he's like more of a man of the people, gets up on the ladder, with the sword and all that. That could go a long way too. But yeah, there's been some prickliness there, and people aren't going to give you the benefit of the doubt as much. So maybe he's got a political advisor or something, like how do a little more politicking and get people on your side. I don't know. We'll see.
You just got to win at the end of the day, and 9-3 might be one short of the amount you need to win, but 9-3 is not super mediocre and it's not bad. Like USC is the best team in the second tier of the Big Ten, and you want to be in the first tier. I know. If they can get there, that would be great. But being in the second tier of the Big Ten 2 years in a row, like that to me isn't like, oh my God, they're so screwed, they're never going to get there. They're on the doorstep. I would think, but I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
Let's
just say that.
All right. Well, that was good stuff. We got
I can see the comments now. I'm not looking at it, but
that's okay.
This will be fun to look at.
Kevin said I was wrong on my playoff take. So you don't want to make the playoffs? You shouldn't make the playoffs? I don't know.
Of course they want to make the playoffs.
I guess. Is it, so that's wrong? Nah, I don't want to do that. Why would you want to make the playoffs?
No, you were playoff or bust, which I think I've said in the past that I was playoff or bust for next year. But that schedule is hard as hell.
Oh, well, like then you should have won the last couple of years. Like, you put yourself in that position, There was choices made. You didn't have to not recruit local high schools for a couple of years. Like, you could have done that. And I get it. Now you figured it out. You're doing the right things. The time and there's still Signetti over your shoulder. Like, if you can't do it in year 5 and Signetti did it 1 and 2, he's not the norm. But holy crap! Like, I'll give you didn't do it in year 1 or 2, and you got close in year 1. By year 5, that's not unreasonable.
The Grinch thing was the worst.
That was bad. You've made a lot of bad calls, so it sort of you have less wiggle room now, I would say. You chose not to recruit local high schools. You chose to keep Alex Grinch, who was a horrible defensive coordinator, potentially keeping not having a full-time special teams coach that cost you games. There's choices that you've made. So now a lot of stuff has been fixed. You got the number 1 class coming in. You got help from your personnel department. Take all that talent, go to the portal, get some dudes, and go beat teams on that schedule that are hard games. Go win. Go beat some of them.
They need a marquee win for sure.
Yeah. I think we got
at the buzzer?
A super chat at the buzzer. It's from Alex. He says, I don't know if that's pulling up. Lynn needs to step up. Can't absolve him. Here, I'll put it up on the screen now. That just came through. Yeah, I mean, but the defense actually did a little better than last year even, which I didn't think they did. I thought they were worse. Maybe in the beginning, like mid-season, they were worse, and I think they got better because the second halves were better.
They allowed 12 second-half points in like 5 of their wins: Michigan, Northwestern, Iowa,
I think that helped.
UCLA, and I'm missing one, Nebraska. So he's made some mistakes, and the linebackers sucked against Notre Dame, and Oregon wasn't a great defensive performance, but 12 second-half points and 5 wins in the Big Ten is pretty damn good.
Yeah. Thanks for the super chats, and thanks for everyone. Man, there was a lot of people very active in the chat. Let's see, is it Lurch? So this was fun with everyone here. Yeah, hopefully it was it was really fun. Since it's only me and Connor, and we don't have like India or Riley here, so I have to like look at the comments. So I try to put a lot of your comments and questions up on the screen. So I have to like look to the side a bunch, but yeah, it was good. It was hard to keep up because there were so many new things in the chat. I kept trying to look through and make sure that I wasn't missing anything. But I think I got all your questions. We appreciate all the calls. We appreciate all of you. And don't forget, 35% off over at uscfootball.com. Sign up.
75% off. Right?
What did I say? 50?
You said 35.
75.
Add 40%.
75% off. You will not regret it. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, whatever you want.
You would have known about the suspensions early, and there I go interrupting you again.
No,
Woo!
you would have known. Yeah, read the P. You can get it. Well, thank you. Thank you, Connor. It's been a fun season.
It has, and one more game maybe, or not maybe, definitely. One more away game, though, it looks like. Kind of far going to Texas, so we'll see.
Yes.
I was hoping for the Holiday Bowl.
Me too, but, Alamo. Check it out. All right, well, that's going to wrap things up. We will have a live podcast on Wednesday with Connor in India. And like I said, Wednesday night, look for another one for signing day. We could get a special guest coming in into the studio. Should be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to that. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you next time.